Welcome to Perpetual Life. I'm so glad that you're here. You just heard Fairy Elaine Silver in singing Forever Young, and that was recorded at our old church. She's coming next month to do some more recordings of new songs. My name is Neil Vandry, and I'm your officiator here tonight, and I'd like to welcome you to our service here at the Church of Perpetual Life. If this is your first time joining us, I'd like to invite you to join our email list so that you can get the updates on all that is going on with super longevity, and so that you may live a longer and healthier life. And you can join our email list simply by emailing us through our website at perpetual.life. We can then send you newsletters to give you updates and information, both things happening at the church as well as around the world. Here at Perpetual Life, we are not a Bible-based church. Our members are Christian, Jewish, atheist, Buddhist, humanist, agnostic. We are, in fact, the only brick and mortar transhumanist church on the planet. And what brings us together is our common desire to live unlimited lifespans. Our services are once a month. Typically, it's the fourth Thursday of the month. However, in November, it will be the third Thursday, and in December this year, it will be the second Thursday. Next month, October the 26th, we have a great event with Ray Kurzweil, as well as Charlie Cam, and Bill Falloon will be giving an update on age reversal. We'll also be having a Halloween party. And as I mentioned, October the 24th, we will have a concert with Fairy Elaine Silver. And that concert will be on October the 24th. On both days, our doors will open at 6 p.m. And on both days, we'll be celebrating a Halloween party. So come, if you can, in person to South Florida to both events. The Perpetual Life Creed. We believe that all of life is sacred and that we have been given this one life to make unlimited. We believe in our Creator's divine plan for all of humanity to have infinite lifespans in perfect health and eternal joy, rendering death to be optional. By following our prophets, we achieve eternal life, creating a heaven here on earth. We follow Nikolai Fedorov, who taught that the transcendence of the Creator will only be solved when humanity, through our unified efforts, become an instrument of universal resuscitation, when the divine word becomes our divine action. And we follow Arthur C. Clarke, who said, the only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. And so we enter each day energized in spirit and empowered by the words of our prophets to live in joy, serving our Creator and all of mankind forever and ever. In Zoom, we will be having an after party after the service tonight, so stay with us then. And if you're in the YouTube live stream and would like to join the Zoom, you can easily do that by going to the top of our website at perpetual.life and registering for the Zoom party. Here we will enjoy fellowship with extended discussions with immortalists and friends from all around the world, sharing bold ideas on health, longevity, and technology. I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker for tonight. And as we do, we have the House of Health to bring up. Discover the transformative power of regenerative integrative medicine. Dr. Ramesh Kumar is a board-certified oncologist and is also an integrative medicine physician, a Harvard Medical School trained acupuncturist, and a best-selling author. With over 20 years of experience, he has positively impacted the lives of more than 10,000 patients and counting, including myself, as I have visited Dr. Kumar for NAD+ infusions. As a trusted practitioner, Dr. Kumar is co-author of the best-selling book, Fight for Your Dreams. You can see the House of Health, and in the upper part of the House of Health, you have NAD+ as one of the things that Bill Falloon has brought to our attention as important for age reversal and extreme longevity. Dr. Kumar's passions lie in helping patients achieve peak physical, cognitive, and sexual health regardless of their age. He believes that everyone deserves to live their best life, and he is here to make it happen. Through a combination of cutting-edge technologies and the emerging field of regenerative integrative medicine, Dr. Kumar delivers results that surpass the limitations of traditional insurance-based medicine. Dr. Kumar is the founder and medical director at LifeWell MD, a holistic and integrative functional medicine healthcare clinic located here in South Florida. Please make note of your questions for Dr. Kumar, as you will have a chance in a question and answer session after the presentation tonight. So help me welcome Dr. Kumar.
Well, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here, to be able to address a worldwide audience among people who respect and believe in the fact that age can be reversed, that we do have the possibility of living the number of years of our choice. It doesn't have to be imposed as a will of anybody else. We each have our own independent decisions that we can make to do and be able to function the best that we can as long as we can. So I am Ramesh Kumar. I'm an MD. I'm a physician who was board certified in oncology about 20 years ago. So the question comes up as to why did an oncologist take on this line? And it's so fortuitous that about 10 years ago, when I set up a meetup to discuss medical cannabis, 20 of them had signed up to show up for the meeting in my Palm Beach office, and only 3 of them showed up. And one of them was Will Brink. Until then, if somebody had talked to me about anti-aging and age reversal, that was not for me. Now, that part of medicine did not exist. Not in my mind or in the mind of any of my brothers and sisters in the medical field. Just did not exist. So what Will Brink, and thanks to him and his connections with Tanya, ended up me meeting Bill Falloon, who basically changed my entire medical career. So that was the beginning of my dive into not only functional medicine, but to actually believe in the possibility of age reversal. And I'm a living example of that. All right, so this is what we started off with, okay? And it's all based on, so what I'll be doing is I'll be talking about something that is completely non-traditional. And what I'll be addressing is some of the stuff that is not really well known, and there's a lot of myths surrounding it. And so basically 3 topics that I'll be talking about is number 1, ozone. There's a lot of misunderstanding about that. Number 2 is what is called red light therapy, photobiomodulation. And number 3, hormones. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about hormone replacement therapy, but what I've seen is about 99% of the physicians are really not doing the optimal job that there is. You know, they're doing one thing and then they're opposing it. And I'll give you some examples of what that is. So let's go ahead and get started with this. Okay, so that's my story. That's how I ended up becoming an integrative doctor. So instead of waiting for stuff to happen with cancer, which is too damn late, so I took up this whole understanding of what happened to these patients who are coming to me with cancer. If something had been done with them or to them 10, 20, 30 years ago, this is a good chance that they wouldn't be here in my office and me treating them as a cancer doc. Why don't we address something that happens, way back in time? And so looking around, there was nothing. And there is still nothing in most cities and countries on the planet. So that was my quest. And so instead of me looking for help from other doctors, I said, listen, I think I'm smart enough to figure out this question. And all it took was to find the mentors to help me through the story. So Bill Falloon was my main person. Dr. Rouzier is big into hormone replacement. Dr. Morgan Taylor out of Harvard is my big mentor. and the folks at Harvard Medical School who put me through acupuncture, which changed my life, and Dr. Hamblin out of MIT and Harvard, who is so passionate about red light therapy that I follow him. So these are the elements that I'm bringing in to help, in addition to everything else that is being done through age reversal. If you go to agereversal.net, you'll see the whole protocol laid out by Bill Falloon on age reversal. What I'm coming up with is, what can we do before that to optimize the foundation before we build on age reversal? If somebody comes in 300 pounds with an hemoglobin A1C of 9, there's no way that we can even consider age reversal. So that's my point. So I'm trying to figure out other methods, in addition to whatever else is going on in traditional medicine, that can mitigate and put out those fires before they get out of hand. So that way we can launch those patients into this path of not only just wellness, but actually talk about longevity and finally age reversal. So that's where my whole thing is. So people are very familiar in this platform about the hallmarks of aging. So what I'll be focusing on is basically about energy and connection with mitochondrial function. So that's my main focus. Okay? So I'm a clinician. Yes, I do understand how things work, but the way I figure out things is, if something works and if it's safe, safety is number one priority. Then I figure out how it and how often to do it on a particular patient, as long as I get results. And then I figure out the basic science behind it to the best that I can. But my focus is on patient care and results. Yes, in most of traditional medicine, before a medicine goes to a patient, right, they need to understand the how and the why that medicine works. It will not get into a patient if they cannot answer that question. And I know it's important. Obviously, you don't want to hurt somebody. But in my world, as long as things are kind of natural, kind of have been around forever, but forgotten by traditional medicine, has been proven to be safe, that's when I jump in. And I jump into medical issues that have been frustrating for mainstream medicine. For example, somebody with a stroke, physical therapy, that's it. Go home. Whatever you recover, you recover. A1C is sky high, you put them on insulin, whatever. And that's it. Nothing else can be done. That's all we can do. So that's where I go in. So I occupy that niche where patients have failed or unsatisfied with the best of traditional medicine that there is available today. Whether patients need to go to the Cleveland Clinic or the Mayo Clinic and they're frustrated, you come to me and I'll solve that in a few minutes. That's my promise to patients. So out of the hundreds of patients who enter this area of medicine, for whatever medical problems, only about 5 to 10% of the patients really get to a point where they need me. So 95% of those patients can generally be taken care of at the level of the primary care doc, specialist, Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, or what have you. But where I step in is way beyond that. So that's where I'm at. So what's the main issue that we see with mitochondrial dysfunction? This is the list. It's involved in so many conditions: fatigue, muscle weakness, cognitive impairment, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, neurodegeneration. So what are these things? These are most of the things where traditional medicine puts a Band-Aid on it. We do not solve the underlying problem. So how do we solve that underlying problem? These are the three topics. So let's talk about ozone therapy. Before I get started, let's go ahead and play this video. So it'll start making sense. So this is a story about this young man who, after a motorcycle accident with injury to the brain, was stuck in a wheelchair, not able to move because of nerve damage or brain damage, stuck in a wheelchair for 20 years. His dad would carry him from the wheelchair to the bathroom and back and forth, required 24 hours care. So he came to me for medical cannabis. Medical cannabis is approved in the state of Florida legally to help these patients. So I put him on that medicine for about 2 years and nothing changed. but this is his story, and I want you guys to listen to him directly. So tell me about your story. Go ahead.
Well, in the year 2000, I had a motorcycle accident that literally killed me for 8 to 10 minutes. And after that, I was drawn to a wheelchair. I couldn't even sit in the wheelchair because I was so stretched out. My nerves were all crazy. I could not do anything. I could not walk. My dad had to carry me. I was a dummy. I knew nothing. But now.
So you came to me, what, about a year ago?
Yes.
So tell the folks on what happened. So you remember you came in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about what? Medical cannabis, right?
Yes.
First time around? Okay. And then we talked about ozone.
Ozone.
That's right.
Right when you said ozone, I was like, oh, the ozone has the world. It's gotta help me out. And it does exactly.
So remember after the first week, after we did the first session, you came in with a walker.
Yes.
Remember that? Okay. And then a week
Big walker.
yeah, 1 or 2 weeks after that, you came in with a stick.
Okay.
Right? A cane. Okay. And then after maybe a week after that, remember what you did? Tell them what you did. You threw the stick away, and what did you do?
I threw that stick away. I said, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
And you jumped up and down, man. You remember that? That blew my mind.
I could not jump. Before I was, my nerves all shot. I could not jump. And now I can jump.
And look, he comes in today after a couple of weeks. This guy's been missing because he had issues with transportation and stuff like that. But man, oh man, I'm so proud of you, dude. You have no idea the inspiration you've provided to so many of my other patients. I talk about you with them all the time. I don't mention names, of course.
This is because of you. Because of your knowledge of how to work with the body.
No, I know, I'm just kidding.
Because who else would do this?
I know.
I have not found anybody who do this.
So all they did was, after your accident, what, put you into rehab, and that's it. Call it a day, right?
Rehab for. At first, when I went to rehab, I was sitting in the room waiting, and the doctor came out and said, "What is this? Why did y'all send me this meat?" And I was like, my mom was like, "No, this other thing. I cannot do it with him. Get him out of here."
So no hope.
No hope. Look at me now. Look at me now. And that daughter, he retired, I think.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to him. I say, hey, look at me. I thought it was a lost cause. No.
So for 10 years, you suffered through with absolutely nothing
Nothing.
until you found us.
Yes.
Oh, man. Dude, all I can say, it's a blessing. All I can say, it's a blessing, man. I'm going to share this second story, and then I'll go back and actually kind of tease out everything about ozone. But I want you folks to kind of understand the impact that such a simple procedure can have on somebody's life, and how we can probably extrapolate this to actually make it a part of age reversal, anti-aging practice. Anyway, so this is another story on a gentleman with irritable bowel syndrome, suffering for over 20 years. Past 5 years has been on medicines, $1,500 a month, didn't do much. But then he came up to me again. He came in for medical cannabis, which we tried for a few months, didn't do anything. And then I helped him with rectal ozone. So it's better to hear from him directly. And here we go. Okay. All right. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi,
and go ahead and tell your story.
I'm Rodney Field. I taught in Okeechobee, Florida for 35 years. In 2003, I began suffering from chronic diarrhea, IBS. I went to Dr. Taguru.
No, GI doctor.
A GI doctor. He's
It's
a good
okay.
doctor, no problem. Anyway, I fought it. I used every method I know, every method I could find.
So how often were you going to the bathroom?
I was going to the bathroom 8 to 10 times a day, which made it almost impossible for me to teach or substitute teach school.
And was there a lot of bleeding?
Yeah, not so much
Not so much
bleeding,
bleeding,
but there was
Frequency.
There was frequency and some stomach pain too. And but anyway, I've gone from that. I totally recommend ozone insufflation.
So tell us, when you first came in, what had you tried?
I had tried, well, the most expensive thing I had tried, and you'll know, doctor, what the name of this is.
Yeah.
It's budesonide,
Yeah,
9 milligrams. The pills cost roughly $50 a piece. I was lucky to have insurance, but to buy it just at the Publix
Very expensive.
place, whatever, at the Publix pharmacy was $50 a pill. So 30 pills for a month's supply, and he would give me, and the other doctor would give me 3 months supply. Would be, had I bought it without
Insurance.
it would have been $1,500 a month. So,
And how long did you use those medicines for?
oh, off and on for the last 5 years.
And how effective was it?
They worked sometimes. They worked sometimes. Sometimes no.
Okay. And so when you came to us, tell us that story about how and why you came to see me.
I originally came to see you for medical marijuana because I was having the stomach cramps associated with IBS and microscopic colitis. And we got to talking. I got to talking to your girl. She said you could help me with ozone, which I thought was crazy at the time. It's been 6 months now.
And how often did we do the ozone? We did for
5 times over a 2-week period.
Yeah. And how quickly was it effective?
I believe the second treatment. The second
So
treatment.
it's within a very short period of time.
Very short. It was within days.
Yeah.
Which is something, doctor, when you go from 20 years of suffering to 2 days of cure, it's not too hard to decide what you want to do.
Yeah. And how easy was the rectal insufflation?
Oh, it was very easy.
What, less than 5 minutes, right?
Less than 5 minutes, very cloaked, no embarrassment. The door was always closed. I'm a very private person.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I'm so glad that you're opening up to the people, because this is something that people need to know.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, they
can you imagine getting your freedom back? People talk about freedom, right? But when you have to be within 2 minutes of a bathroom 24/7, and from that level, not having a life, to be able to
go to the
control
bathroom once a day.
once a day and be able to control your life and get back to being productive within a week.
Yes.
That is beyond amazing.
Yes, sir.
And when I spoke to you about this, yeah, there's enough theoretical knowledge, I had enough experience dealing with this, and time again, this has been proven to me through ozone. The radical change that I've seen in my patient, it is just mind-blowing, and I'm not exaggerating.
No,
You know,
not in my case.
Not in your case, or even in the case of the patient who came in with a stroke.
Yes.
And I showed you the video just now, and I can send those to those folks too. And so here we are, and we were discussing about what to do next. And so since you're doing so well, my advice to you is to go for the ride. Because we don't know how long this is going to last, and maybe you may never need this.
That would be great.
But
it's so easy.
That's right.
that
It's no harm done.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. And so it's been about 6 months
6 months. Yes.
ago that we did this, and this has lasted for that period of
For
time.
that period.
And I don't know how long more that it's going to last. My prediction is could be several months to a few years, or if not more.
That is the story. And these stories literally changed the way I tackle some of these most difficult medical cases where traditional medicine does not fulfill its promise. So let's start with something basic. What is ozone? And by the way, what I'm talking about is only for education. Please make up your own mind. You guys can call me with questions, personal issues that I can explore some possibilities. But this is what ozone is. And there's a lot of myth around ozone therapy. So the reason I made it a point to post these 2 YouTube videos was a couple of months ago, 2-3 months ago, there was a story on one of the movie stars who talked about doing rectal ozone. I'll get the name in a minute. So there was so much of criticism on her from the major hospitals in the country, from the chairman of Cleveland Clinic, you name it. All the big guys came out in the news saying that this was going to kill her, that this was bad medicine, that this is kind of information should not be allowed to go public. And so when I see these kind of results, my whole process was this information needs to get out to the public because changes have to come from the bottom up. It cannot come from the top down. Okay, if you're going to depend on the chiefs of big hospitals to bring out the best medicine that is available in the country, you're looking in the wrong direction. So that's the point. So one of my big mentors in the ozone therapy field who's taught me everything that I know is Dr. Schallenberger out of Reno, Nevada. So I've spent tons of time with him learning about ozone. So what is ozone? Ozone is a molecule made up of 3 atoms of oxygen. The oxygen that we breathe in has 2 atoms of oxygen. So there is a system that cuts off and separates the 2 atoms of oxygen from the oxygen molecule and reassembles it as 3 atoms, and now you've created ozone. And the way we know about ozone is when you step out after a big thunderstorm, the lightning does that job. So the kind of the fresh smell that we get, that is ozone. So the only problem with ozone is never inhale. So apart from that, it has no side effects. Again, it's like any other medicine. There is a dose, there is a frequency, there are indications, and how often, what kind of results to expect, and how to deliver the ozone to the point of the problem. Okay, so what does ozone do fundamentally? So the story that I tell people is this, and this is kind of fairly easy to understand. If you have an oven hooked up to an oxygen tank, and the nozzle is, feeding oxygen to cook the food in the pot, and you put all your ingredients, your water and your carbohydrates and fat and proteins and whatever. But the thing is, and you're sitting down there saying, hey, I have the oxygen tank, it's hooked up to the oven, but nothing's happening, nothing's cooking. So the oven is equivalent to your mitochondria. The oxygen supply is not a problem. That's not the problem because oxygen is being delivered. What's missing is that spark, that little spark plug that has to light that fire and utilize the oxygen that's being delivered to cook the food. And that's what ozone does. Okay, it improves oxygen utilization. That's the fundamental point of how it works at a biochemical level. Now, having said that, at a clinical level, what it does is improves circulation, improves oxygen delivery. It improves, like I said, oxygen utilization. It's immunomodulation. It's antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial. It does so many things. So, for example, there were tons of studies done during the time that we were going through the COVID epidemic in countries like like Italy, Spain, India, and even at the University of Miami, where when they utilized ozone as part of the regimen to treat active patients with COVID, the number of hospitalizations were reduced. The number of patients who got into the ICU was reduced because of its antiviral activity and the immunomodulatory activity. Okay, so this is, and despite all this data, it's still not even close to being mainstream. That's the tragedy. And I've shown you guys 2 good examples of this. And I do this all day long. Patients come to me with pain issues for 10 years, 20 years, and I solve that in 2 seconds with the ozone shot. So there's lots of details that I can talk about ozone. But I think that should basically kind of kindle the interest that you guys have. You can go to PubMed, look for articles. You can look at my website. I've written tons of blogs on it. And it's not a very complicated procedure. It's very simple, very safe. And the results have been incredible. So in those patients, so whether it's rheumatoid arthritis, okay, it's an immune disorder, we can solve it in 1 or 2 days. It can be used as an adjuvant treatment for cancer care. Again, not a lot of people believe in it, but the point is, it does not hurt. It improves the quality of life of patients with the small chance that the ozone can actually kill cancer cells. But that's not the promise that we're going to make. The promise that I'm going to make is we will get your quality of life better. You're going to have more energy, be able to function better, and get on with your life as much as you can. Always towards, hopefully, a cure for cancer so you can move on with your life without having to be held back because of the aftermath of the cancer care. After chemo, after radiation, people are left. There is nothing that people can turn to for additional help to put their life back together. And that main issue is mitochondrial dysfunction as a result of not only the cancer, but also the chemotherapy and radiation, whatever else that we've done for them to help get rid of that cancer. So that's where ozone fits in. So next, let's talk about, so the second topic is what's called whole body photobiomodulation therapy. So what is photobiomodulation? How do plants grow? Green plants. It's based on what? Light, photosynthesis. Okay. Light is the source of energy for photosynthesis. Just like the way light affects plants, light therapy can also affect human beings. The most clear example is exposure to sunlight can create a vitamin D. That's the simplest thing that is equivalent to photosynthesis in plants. But in addition to that, what we've learned is that when you use red light therapy at a certain wavelength, and it's not the red light therapy that is visible to us. Okay, we are talking about what's called near infrared light and far infrared light. And these are beyond our ability to see. Okay, so these are not visible red light. Okay, so when you modulate it and use certain wavelengths, that has a huge effect on mitochondria in everybody. Okay, so how does it have an impact on mitochondria? Just like the way the light comes in and hits the leaf and produces photosynthesis, the same thing happens when the red light comes in and hits the mitochondria. It activates an enzyme called cytochrome oxidase C. Now, it's too complicated. You guys don't need to worry about it. Nobody's going to question you on this. But the point is, when there is mitochondrial dysfunction, one of the components that is usually missed by traditional medicine, most other things, is the cytochrome oxidase C that can only be activated by red light, by infrared light and far infrared light. Okay, so this is used across the board for whole body activation, improving the energy. And one of the patients who came to me for this particular situation is Noah Syndergaard. He's a Major League Baseball player, used to play for the New York Mets, but he had injury to the elbow, so he came to me for help in my Palm Beach office. And this is his story.
I'm Noah Syndergaard, right-handed pitcher for the New York Mets. About a year ago, maybe a little over, I had Tommy John surgery, and I've been in Palm Beach Gardens, continuing my rehab for the last year.
Yeah. So when you're talking about that injury, can you give a few more details if you can? Just Very simple.
I had elbow reconstruction.
Yeah.
Tommy John
Okay.
surgery.
Which elbow was that? Right there.
The right elbow.
Okay.
It's UCL reconstruction.
Okay.
That's pretty common for pitchers,
Yeah.
especially pitchers for.
And you're going to be back on the field come June, you said?
Yeah, I should
Okay.
be back around the beginning of June.
Yeah. And you've been here for spring training, right?
Yep.
So tell the folks about what we've been able to do here with the Novator machine. And you can show them the machine, what that is and stuff like that.
So yeah, I mean, I'm addicted to doing red light therapy. I've experimented with lots of different photobiomodulation devices, Novator, LightStim, Juve, but Novator has definitely been my favorite. 15-minute treatments, and the feeling you get when you get out of it, it's kind of a feeling of euphoria. I remember the other day I came in and I had a heavy throwing session that day, and I came in, I was feeling a little achy prior, and I came in and I did a session, and it was a drastic, noticeable difference when I left.
Yeah. So it's not only about improving your energy level, but it also does a lot of positive role in healing.
Yeah, healing and just mitigating the like as much inflammation as I can. So I'm able to just attack every day like it's a new one.
Yeah, that's cool. And so you've been coming here 3 days a week, right? So who would you recommend this to? Would you recommend this to just anybody, or just athletes, or
anybody?
Yeah.
Athletes, the general person. I think a lot of people aren't exposed to natural red light. We're always indoors, and I think that's the best option. But second to that would definitely be something like this, and this is like kind of like the sun on steroids. So
yeah, sun on steroids. I like that. So basically, this is a low-level laser. It's a laser device, so it covers the entire body. We also have a handheld device too. So for patients who need just spot welding, we can use that. But this is huge. We are probably one of the few in this county. There are not a lot of folks. But anyway, so final thoughts about what I do.
I was extremely fortunate that the world connected Dr. Kumar and his wife with me. I remember walking in to the office like day one, and it's just it's a very family vibe to it, and I really appreciate what they're doing for the community.
Oh my God! Thank you, man. Thank you, Noah. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So red light, like I explained to you. So one other example that people can check out on YouTube is go put in the search bar Olympic athletes and Novator. You will get a whole video about how this particular machine was transported to Rio for the Rio Olympics, and a lot of athletes from the US used it before their run and their relays, and how that helped them kind of recover faster, feel a lot better, and get more energy, and basically outpace the rest of the competition. So there's a lot to it that goes on there. But anyway, so where do we use this? Again, the most difficult situations, what are they? Chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. There are so many conditions, or after an injury, you basically end up healing faster. A good example was me. The reason I got involved in this particular machine was, when I had injury to my foot and broke my first metatarsal in 3 places, and could not be surgically operated upon to fix it back up. So all I did was have a boot, and I never took a single pain medicine. So I ended up going down to Fort Lauderdale because that was the closest place who had this machine, and going back and forth from Palm Beach. I was going there 3 days a week for about 10 sessions, and I healed. I got back on my feet within about 4 to 6 weeks, when the orthopedic surgeon had told me that I could be stuck in a wheelchair for a good 3 to 6 months. So that was huge. And you can't imagine, having that kind of an injury for the first time in my life. I really understood the pain that some of my patients go through. It's just not the pain, but it's the emotion and everything else. I mean, 24/7, my entire mind was focused on the foot, and that's it. And it was not a big deal, but for me, my whole world revolved around that tiny little injury, even though it was broken in 3 places. But it really changed my life. And that's how I got involved in how we can help set up the body for success using non-drug methods. Okay, it's nothing else. It's just pure red light, no side effects. The only thing that we don't do on the machine is have somebody who's pregnant, because we do not know what the effect of that red light is on a growing fetus. So that's the only caveat. The second issue that generally we do not allow patients to get onto that machine is somebody who's photosensitive, which means that they burn easily. And, there are certain patients with systemic lupus who are photosensitive. So we don't want them to be exposed to any kind of light, because that's not good for their skin. They're not able to handle that kind of light energy. So having said that, it takes about 15-20 minutes. No prep is needed. We try to expose as much of the skin as possible, and we provide them with protective glasses, dark glasses, so that way their whole body is exposed to the red light. So the range is anywhere between 15 to 18, 20 minutes, not more than that, or not less than that. So, but I've seen a huge difference in among baseball players. And Noah is just one example. I've had a bunch of other Major League Baseball players who kind of discovered us and have come in to utilize this. But it's changed the way I practice medicine in this area of healing using just natural methods. So having said that, let's jump down to hormones. Okay, so hormone replacement therapy, like I said, is the most misunderstood area of mainstream medicine today. And the reason I put up this particular slide is I want to show folks how dramatically the biological age changes just with the onset of menopause. So we know about biological clocks. I'm sure a lot of folks on this platform understand what biological clocks are, because that's the way of measuring, anti-aging or age reversal protocols, because you want to dial back the biological age, no matter what your time age is, So this line in the orange is the biological age, okay? So this particular person at the age of 48 did whatever they did and dialed their biological age to 28. But you see, as they approached menopause, they didn't change anything else that they were doing to keep their biological age as young as possible. But the only variable here was the onset of menopause, and boom, no matter what, now they're off to the races. So their biological age is running ahead of their time age. So at the age of 52, their biological age is 64. And there we go. And then we had some kind of intervention here. So the key here is, this shows you the importance of managing hormones in women around menopause. When their estradiol goes down, testosterone goes down, progesterone goes down. This has to be addressed. This is so fundamental to age reversal. And I'll give you my example. So this is some of the stuff that estrogen does in females. And we'll talk a little bit about the relationship of estradiol or estrogen in males. So if you see this, it plays the exact same role as we've talked about in the age reversal protocols. It helps cellular senescence, it helps stem cell exhaustion, it helps intracellular communication, so on and so forth. Everything to do with age management and age reversal. A massive role of estrogen that I did not realize. I just realized this about a week ago, on how critical estradiol is in females at the age of menopause. So the moment they drop their estrogen, things get really bad, no matter what you do. It's not under your control. It's just the way nature has treated us. So if we replace estrogen, it's possible to reverse all this. So this basically shows how, again, it's the same thing. You can, once you put these folks back on estrogen, you're going to postpone dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and improve obesity. See, we get a lot of patients who are, the moment they become menopausal, they start putting on weight. And they go down to exercise, they eat right, nothing's changing. Why? The fundamental hormone levels are off kilter. So we got to stabilize that for us to get any kind of a durable and permanent response to their weight gain, because you're not burning enough calories to be able to manage that weight and to be able to help slow down the aging process. So in addition to everything else that we talked about, in addition to the photobiomodulation, we're talking about ozone. Never forget how fundamental it is to have our physiology balanced with adequate amount of hormones. And it's a whole topic. I can spend days talking about this stuff. All right. So that's the importance of estradiol. Now, I also learned, again, I'm doing a lot more research on this right now, on how important it is for men to have their estradiol at a level that is, so most of us, as we get older, our estradiol level goes down too, as do our testosterone levels. So by replacing estradiol, even in men, it's possible to make it as part of our anti-aging protocol. And again, I'm kind of hesitant to talk about this because there's so much of myth on this. So I need to be on more solid ground before I actually start practicing this on patients. So within the next week or two, I'll be able to make a good decision on which way to go. All right. That's it. And I'm ready for questions.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kumar. We applaud you.
Thank you.
Let's bring in Natasha Vida-Moore.
Hi. Thank you so much for a truly exceptional talk. I enjoyed it enormously. And as I was messaging our host, Neil, it is truly informative, entertaining, and so spot on to have patients give their stories. We hear lectures and, basically stories about what things can do. We very seldom get the patients to say, this is what it did for me. And all of our bodies are different and we all have different experiences. So that was truly delightful. Thank you very much. Okay, I have two different questions. First off, I'm familiar with the ozone therapy vis-a-vis someone that I know not terribly well over the years, but I used to know quite well. He's a DIY biohacker by the name of David Asprey, or Dave Asprey as he's better known, Bulletproof Coffee. Right. And so, okay, good, you do know him, because I didn't want to be presumptuous if you didn't know him. He has a great website, beautifully designed, that goes into this therapy in depth. And he also talks about some of the hesitancies that were brought up by our dear Rudy. How do we know what is good and what's not? Where are the fine lines here? What are some of the issues that we need to think about with the ozone therapy? The other was a book. It's called The Ozone Miracle. And it is by Frank Schnannenberger, MD, and
My mentor.
You know him too.
My mentor.
Oh, really? Oh, now isn't that wonderful? I was going to ask you what you thought of both of them, and you know of both of them, and the one is your mentor. Well, that's great. Is there anything you want to say about their work or their findings?
Okay, so this is how I'm labeling myself, okay? And I need help on how to describe what I do. So we've heard of the biohacking fear, right?
Yes,
but
of course.
Claim that title who are non-medical. So yes. I'm calling myself the physician biohacker.
I love it. That is great. You're the MD biohacker. I love it. Much needed. So welcome to that field. Okay, that's good. Then everyone else can look at it. I have to go because I'm cooking a paleo dinner tonight and I've got to go get the fish. My favorite thing to do. The second question, you mentioned hormone replacement therapy, and I just want to make a comment for your amazing audience that Neil and you have here gathered. I've been on hormone replacement therapy for since I was 48, I believe. Just as I was going into perimenopause. And I think it was one of the best decisions I made early on. And Dr. Chris Heward, who was an endocrinologist and worked with Cronus Laboratories here in Scottsdale, Arizona, it's closed down. It was one of the first locations you could go to in the 1990s to have your blood work done, all your biomarkers, everything. And now there's so many clinics like that, but this one was called Kronos, and it was really amazing. And Dr. Heward suggested I go on hormone replacement therapy to maintain my youthfulness. And I'm glad I did. I'm in my 70s now. And I think that is one decision I made that was so beneficial to me. I still lift the same. I mean, I just got back from the gym, so I was a little late, but I still lift the same weights that I did in my 40s and 50s. And while other things are certainly lagging behind, I think hormone replacement therapy is not only essential for women, but for men who go through androgen. And I don't think there's any question about whether it's good or bad, but there's different modalities and methodologies in that particular biomedical intervention.
Rudy is next.
So I was glad you brought that up. Thank you.
It is so fundamental. I mean, let me give you a quick story about my universal protocols. Because once I met Bill Falloon, one of the first things that I did was attended all these seminars given out by Dr. Lucie. He is the king of hormone replacement therapy, bar none. And him and Dr. Morgan Taylor out of Harvard. These are the two folks that I really follow because they give you concrete examples with data, but both of them go against the grain.
In what ways?
In a way that what they teach is so deep. Like, for example, Dr. Rosier spends nearly 80 hours talking about 5 hormones. That's it. Nothing else. All the nuances, all the contradictions, the controversies, and how to make a stand.
Because whether to go with bioidentical, whether to take the cream, I've tried injection,
not only that,
pills, everything.
I'll give you a good example, okay? When men are on testosterone, okay, so the key here is when we look at monitoring testosterone levels, once you put them on any kind of testosterone, whether it's injection cream or whatever, people look at 5 different dials to adjust the level of testosterone. And that drives everybody crazy. Okay, on one side, your hematocrit level is going up, your free testosterone level is going up, your estradiol levels are going up, and they freak out. Now they say, oh, you got to have a phlebotomy done. You got to drain the blood. You've got to lower the testosterone level. We need to put you on Femara and anastrozole because of your estradiol levels. All that is wrong. Cut that out. You look at free testosterone levels and the clinical effect, and that's it. I don't give a damn about the total testosterone levels.
Very wise. It's almost like the HLC and LDL and HDL. Exactly. It's like my bad cholesterol is high because my good cholesterol is so high. And if you just look at them separately, it wouldn't look good. But knowing what the composite is and the 2 separate factors is very important. Thank you. I'll step aside now and open it up. I think Rudy has some questions. I see Karen's there. Hi, and everyone. Thank you so much, Neil. This was brilliant. I'm going to just turn my camera off and continue listening as I work. Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar. It was lovely meeting you. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. Rudy Hoffman, you are next.
Dr. Kumar, thank you. That was indeed super credible and compelling. And my questions / observations are actually very similar to the legendary Natasha Moore. Basically, it has to. I was taking testosterone supplements for a while. I was injecting and doing injections. My wife claimed that I was grumpy, and I don't know if that is correct or not, but that's what she said. She got encouraged me to get off of them. But I don't want to be grumpy, and I would like to find a way to optimize. But it seems like there is so many variables involved. I am taking a bunch of nutraceuticals, including DHEA, that may be able to naturally increase that free testosterone. So can you, what if you were to do, what mechanisms of HRT do you recommend? Are they creams or injections? If you address that, please.
Okay, so I give choices to patients. So let's just stick to testosterone for now. Okay, I give choices to patients. Number one, the easiest follow, and there are advantages to this, is applying a cream. Applying a cream to the scrotal skin, not under the arms, not on your chest, not on your thighs, but on the scrotal skin, because the scrotal skin has a special enzyme that makes it easy for us.
Plus, it sounds like it'd be fun.
I don't know about that.
Sorry, that was unprofessional of me.
Hey, listen, I have a saying, this is a side story. Everybody knows what making America great again, right? MAGA. My whole thing is I've taken out the G and put in a H. Make America what again? H stands for what? Happy.
Happy. Oh, I like it. Wow, let's make America happy again. I believe all this.
And from a sexual medicine point of view, what can you guys think of? H. Come on, you know that.
Okay, so
no, the sexual medicine area. H stands for
H. What does H stand for?
I'm going to X-rated stuff.
Okay.
Level.
He knows. Suffice to say, you're in favor of cream applied.
Okay. So the reason for the cream is this. Okay. The reason for the cream that I have a preference, which is what I do, is because we get a stable level. So with the shots and the pellets, we have this up and down. Okay. It's very difficult to control dosing because it will depend on the day that you draw the blood for the testosterone.
So every day, the topical application once a day, is it
no, twice a day.
Process? Twice a day. Is it expensive
twice a day.
Maintain that?
So you can maintain a steady level of testosterone. So when you draw your blood, it's a very predictable value that is stable, and now I can tweak the dose up and down depending on where that level is. With the pellets and the shots, if you give the shots once a week or once every 3 weeks, you get this up and down.
Right.
So depending on where you draw your blood, you don't know what to do.
So the stability, it's a hard data point if you use the consistent cream applied twice a day.
With the ups and downs, okay, about 50% of the times you may be having a level that's suboptimal because of the peak part, this part, and the down part. Okay, so the top part is your therapeutic part. The top part of the bell curve is the therapeutic range.
Is there a certain specific range that you're trying for in men?
No, I measure the free testosterone level. That's all I care about. I don't care.
Testosterone is the biomarker that matters, not the
exactly the free testosterone. I don't look at anything else. And my safety is a hematocrit level around 51, 52, because then I know the body's responding.
And what free testosterone level?
The free testosterone is whatever is necessary for that particular patient. So I start small and kind of measure the level. So I want them to be at either the mid-range or at the upper end of the range.
For their age or in general?
Yeah, very rarely do I need to go outside the upper end of the range. Very rare. Because I get clinical benefits right there. In either the mid part of the range or the high end of the range. Because every lab has different levels of ranges. Okay, so you got to look at their range. So I want free testosterone. It doesn't matter. See, the thing is this. Total testosterone is like your warehouse. How much of testosterone goes out is your free testosterone, because that's what works, what is functional. So you can have, whatever in the warehouse and measure that and go crazy about it. But that's what you need. You need more free total testosterone in the warehouse to push the therapeutic level of free testosterone into the bloodstream. You see how that works? Okay. And that's the only thing that matters. So if you have quote unquote adequate amounts of total testosterone, but if your free testosterone level is low, it means that not enough is being pushed out. So you saturate the warehouse so something spills over into the free testosterone level.
Wow, that is a helpful metaphor or analogy.
Yeah.
Is that kind of testosterone therapy generally? What kind of affordable ranges are those in? Is that like 500, 300 a month or 200 a month?
No, no, no. They're very inexpensive. The creams will cost you around $60, $70 a month. Not that much. No, they're very
Helpful.
inexpensive.
I will see the that has been very much on point. Thank you for your direct and clear responses. I'll cede the mic back to Neil. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. And I think that H is a hard one to discuss, but I would say it would be healthy, happy, and certainly Hoffman, wouldn't you? Let's bring.
Yeah, I should have said H for Hoffman. Sorry about that. I missed my chance.
Let's bring Joe. Joe's coming up with a question for you.
Please do.
Hi, Dr. Kumar. Thank you very much. Very interesting. And you gave us just a taste of a little bit of several things that now I have to go and read more about because I have all this free time. But I had 4 questions actually, and do you want me to throw them all at you and then?
Yeah, please. Then I can kind of summarize it.
First one, you didn't discuss NAD, but I saw it on there, and there is a study that I saw that showed NAD and cancer issues. So I have a question about that. The red light, I actually saw, I believe, on an old To Tell the Truth episode from the 1960s. There was somebody talking about that and the amazing things. And I started doing some research about it. Apparently, it's been discussed for quite some time. So I found that fascinating, that it's, so little discussed today. I wondered if you lecture at med schools or, other places where perhaps there could be some change developing. And then finally, my understanding was that you don't take insurance, and I wonder why. I understand if insurance doesn't cover certain things, but why not take it at all? So those are my 4 questions.
Perfect. So I'll start with the last question first. Okay, so let's go back to testosterone levels. So this is the problem, okay? So every insurance company has a certain cutoff to declare that something is wrong, okay? So let's assume that the lowest level of total testosterone is 200 and the highest is 900. Let's assume that, okay? If somebody has a level of 199, they're denied. Or they're allowed. But if they're 201, you're in the normal range, go home, that's it. So it ties up our hands.
Does it preclude you from doing something, or if you would accept?
No. That's when I have to step in to optimize their hormones, but the insurance companies step out of the way. They are not.
I understand. But would you, if they would say yes, they're within the range, then would you take the insurance, or you still don't take the insurance?
No, I still don't take the insurance because it ties up my hands. Because
they don't let you do it if you're outside of the range.
So this is yes, yeah. So the issue with insurance is this: documentation. Because I do have an oncology practice, okay? Documenting on everything that we do takes me hours, okay? For the amount of money that they pay us, they muck around with it for 3 to 6 months, even before I see a penny. It's a big reason for burnout, okay? I've been an oncologist for 25, 30 years, and I've seen it all. And for me to wait for authorization from an insurance company to start radiation on a patient sometimes takes me 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and they're dead. Okay. It is so frustrating. And I'm speaking on behalf of most of my brothers. Yeah, obviously, if you're a hospitalist or employed by a company or a hospital or a setting, that's different. You don't care. You just get your paycheck and go home. And the less you do, the better your quality of life is going to be. But that is not what we became doctors for. Okay. So when I spend my time with patients, 99% of my time is spent one-on-one with the patient. It could be hours. It could be hours. And my summary of the findings, it's about a paragraph. Yes, there are certain relevant things that I need, and I have the patients fill it out. But the point is, for us to get reimbursed, I have to stay within the limits of insurance-based medicine, which is the reason why I preclude patients who can be successful with traditional medicine. When they're burnt through traditional medicine and they're still unhappy, that's when they come to see me. If you go to the Cleveland Clinic and you don't have to spend a penny because it's all covered by insurance and you have amazing results, no reason for me to step in. I step in when every bridge has been burned and people are looking for something exceptional. And basically, I get paid for results. Insurance companies will pay you for stuff that you do. They don't give, but I mean, they do to some extent, they'll weed out some bad apples. But the point is this, the only reason I can be successful is if I can promise results and deliver results. And so far in my 10 years of practice of this, I've returned money on 2 patients, and I was happy to return their money and have them. I'll give you a good example. One of them was an 85-year-old woman, really wealthy, comes in, she weighs 250 pounds. She's heard about age reversal and all that. She comes in, she pays the consultation fees, and first thing she says, "Oh, I'm here for age reversal because you do age reversal." I'm looking at her blood work. Hemoglobin A1C is off the chart. She's 250 pounds, all over the place. Oh my God, you need a freaking primary care doc. You need to get a real doctor first to fix all your issues, all your, basic medical issues. And then once you get tuned up, come to me, then I can help you out. She walked off in a huff and said, "Listen, I'll give you your money back." "Oh, then I'm going to Palm Beach or, Fort Lauderdale because of the doctor." I said, "Happy to send you there. But I can be part of it because I know I cannot give you results with the way you are." Okay, you got to start from basic medical care, fix what can be fixed, do the best that you can, hit the Cleveland Clinic primary care or whatever it takes, clear up the fires that are going inside you and around you, calm that down, and then we'll talk. So that's where I draw the boundary. So in other words, I do not play the role of a primary care doc. I do not play the role as a substitute for a primary care doc. I will work with them despite protests from the primary care docs, despite protests from the oncologists. I take the patient in confidence, and that's the deal between me and the patient. Make sense? So that's where I am on the insurance-based stuff. All right. The first question, what was that? What was the first question?
About NAD?
Oh, okay, NAD. All right, NAD and cancer. Okay, so when I first started this journey on NAD about 7-8 years ago, what we were taught was we do not know if NAD is going to encourage growth of cancer. So that was the biggest fear. It's an energy-giving molecule. Is it going to, quote unquote, feed the cancer to make it grow? But what has changed since then, and I've been keeping kind of track of it, and it's still not kind of come into physical play, but I'm getting pretty close to putting into practice, is how NAD can actually help modulate the immune system to destroy cancer, especially in the T cell area. The natural killer T cells can be programmed by using NAD to actually have the energy to kill cancer. And the studies that I've seen is based on a CLL, chronic lymphoid leukemias. So whether it's applicable to patients with solid tumors, it's something, so it's like a double-edged sword, how you use NAD. So you really have to, unless I have somebody in my own family suffering with cancer, that's when I would kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work, because now I have somebody that I know and I trust before I kind of bring it into clinical play.
So essentially what you're saying is really, it's important if you're using NAD, don't just go buy supplements, take it to talk to your doctor and make sure that it's being done properly.
The problem is this, if you talk to an intelligent doctor who will do his own research, then they can.
Yes. I mean, Yeah.
But the problem is because they don't know, the first thing they say is, listen, if they say oxygen was medicine, they say, "Oh, we can't recommend it, because it's not covered by insurance, blah, blah, whatever. So the problem is the way physicians think is if we don't know, we deny its existence. It doesn't exist. What I've done is, if I don't know, I'll go look for it by asking the right questions. See, the secret is not in the non-availability of knowledge. Knowledge is everywhere, especially with AI and whatever you have. But the point is, asking the right questions is the key. And most doctors do not have the time or the energy or the inclination or the motivation to ask that right question. They're just drowning in paperwork, not in patient care. drowning in paperwork just to make it break even. So that's the tragedy of present healthcare medicine.
And
I call it the health scare medicine.
and then as far as doing lecturing at medical schools, or
I would love to do it if you guys give me an opportunity. So, but what I do is I mentor a whole bunch of physicians, but I am making some headway to teach medical students in India. I have some connections. I'll be traveling to India this December for a couple of weeks, and I made some connections because this is something that people need to know, especially, I mean, I don't want to call India a third world country or a developing country because I think they're far advanced, but I think I need to get the attention of physicians out there that can be implemented at minimal cost, because that's the key. You know, how do we keep developing quality care that is affordable, that's widely available, that's easy to predict, you know, that is certain, that doesn't waste the time or energy of people, you know, whether it's the public or the physicians. So that's my criteria on what we can transfer. You know, I can have a cure for cancer and cost $1 billion. Now, who's going to touch it? So how do we break it down? So my whole goal has been, and the best thing that I've discovered, I did talk about medical acupuncture. Medical acupuncture has been amazing. I get these results every day, day in and day out. People come in with pain, shoulder pain, frozen shoulder, plantar fasciitis. I solve the problem in 2 seconds with 1 needle in the ear. And it's all based on my training at Harvard Medical School in the medical acupuncture area. Amazing results, unbelievable results. People come in with, oh, I have a disc herniation, I can't walk. 2 seconds, 1 needle in the ear, gone. And stays gone for days to weeks to months. Trigeminal neuralgia, the hardest pain situation anybody can experience, solved within like 2 weeks. Couple of sessions, and it's not that expensive.
thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for your question. Doctor, I have a couple more questions for you.
Go ahead.
So the first one has to do with NAD patches. Do you find that patches are similar in terms of effectiveness compared to infusions?
Well, I've tried both infusions and patches. The problem with patches is, you know, it's all about bioavailability. It's all about, see, if we had a way of measuring NAD levels, okay, before an intervention and after intervention, we would really have a good answer for it. Okay. So what I believe in is when you do NAD IV, you see the results right away. I mean, because there are effects that you can observe when you have the dose rate up, and you can lower it and play with the dose and stuff like that. With iontophoresis, with the patches, the problem is, number one, they don't feel it. So we don't know if it's working, what's in it. So there's a lot of quality issues. Unless we have a way of measuring it, it's very difficult to kind of predict its effectiveness. So my whole thing is, if nobody feels it, then they don't think they're getting the effect. So when I do my IV, I know I'm getting the effect. And same thing goes when I use IV ketamine for a whole lot of conditions, and the changes are amazing. So same thing can be done with troches and nasal sprays. Again, how do I know what dose to use? Because of the variability in absorption, effectiveness. So, and things can change from day to day. So the dose that they get in with the nasal spray today may be different a week from now if they have a cough and cold and whatever, inflamed mucosa. So who knows? Whereas with IV, it's very, very predictable. So that's my answer.
One last question for you, and this is regarding high blood pressure. What could you recommend for someone with high blood pressure to keep it low? And would NAD help with that?
NAD is an energy molecule. All right. So as part of an overall wellness issue, we can use NAD, but not specifically for hypertension. Hypertension, the number one reason for hypertension is what? Metabolic syndrome, obesity, everything, insulin resistance, all those other good stuff. So stress. Okay. So if you can control all that, you'll automatically, once you stabilize and control the metabolic syndrome, just by losing weight, you can drop your blood pressure. And you can control your hemoglobin A1C in your diabetic condition. So from a full-blown diabetes, you can go into pre-diabetes and probably get rid of even that too, as long as you can control weight. And how do you control weight? What's the number one issue that's lacking in this country is hormones, bar none. Majority of the problems with heart disease, with diabetes, insulin resistance, obesity, the first step is check hormones. Stabilize hormones, you have a winning hand. If you do not check hormones, you can't build the Taj Mahal on a poor foundation. It's just not going to stick. You're just going to go through this up and down issue. So that's a lose-lose proposition. So focus on hormones.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Thank you very much tonight. And thank you, Tanya, for introducing us to this wonderful doctor. What a great presentation. We appreciate you tonight.
Thank you. All right, guys. Good night.
And stay with us if you would, Dr. Kumar. There are a few people who would like to chat with you in our Zoom after party.
All right.
Our presentation tonight has been recorded, and you can see this on our YouTube channel. And we have a link for our YouTube channel at the top of our website. And you please feel free to share this with all the people that you care about. Let them learn what you've learned tonight. Now, remember, if you can make it to the church next month in person, come on over. October the 26th, we have Ray Kurzweil, Charlie Kam, and Bill Falloon giving great presentations. And that'll be on October the 26th, where we will have a Halloween party. We'll also have a Halloween party with Fairy Elaine Silver with her concert on Tuesday, October the 24th. Come on over, have a great time. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we wish you perfect health and an unlimited life.